Let's move on, yeah, in the interest of time. We are running a bit late, and I'll immediately move on to the next session. Okay, the final session, we are at the closing session, and we have a couple of eminent speakers here. And this session is themed creating a secure digital ecosystem by connecting the dots, and it's moderated by Mr. Sreenivasan. Okay, short introduction on Mr. Sreenivasan. Sreenivasan is a lead consultant at AstraZeneca, India. He has more than 20 years of IT experience in management, design, and development of complex software projects, and he has worked in diverse kinds of organizations such as manufacturing, trading, chemical, automobile, recycling, and pharma industries. He has worked in various roles such as SMEs, functional leads, analyst, and project manager in multiple high-end projects. And we're happy to have him to moderate this session. Mr. Sreenivasan, over to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Gopal. Thanks for your introduction. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, clear.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Gopal. So as we are running out of time, I'll make my part of introduction very short. Okay. Hello. Good evening, everyone. Now we are in the 10th hours of conference. Thanks for all the participants, speakers, for your valuable time, patience, and take part of this virtual conference talent ecosystem. Okay. I'm glad to be a part of this conference as well. I'm really feel great and honored to play a role in this conference as well. So thanks for the opportunity. My thanks to my good friend, Mr. Somu, CEO of GenuineIN and Chairman of ICoTE 2022. And also thanks to all the ICoTE organization making this happen success. We have 3 more sessions, as Gopal said. Short sessions will be coming up next before we reach out the closing section of this conference. Okay, so since morning, many of the topics we were discussed, and I'm also taking note of that, and excellent speeches delivered by the expertise and eminent speakers from the various countries. So lots of topics are covered, particularly on ecosystem, how it is functioning, concerns about the challenges, the ecosystem, how the system is changing post-COVID situation and all that. There are various topics we touched upon, like data, technology. Just now, we also discussed about the business happening, data, skills assessment, workplace, and all that. Okay, so we quickly go into the next session. I would like to introduce Professor John J. Connor, Executive Director, Campbellsville University, joining from US. Okay, let me introduce about the John, say that Joy has worked for 40 years of areas of communication, human resource, organizational development, out of which I could see the 21 years he has served the multiple organizations as a leadership and organizational development consultant. He has worked in various industries like major industries like healthcare, all sort of industries, software development, wholesale, building supplies, food services, retail, and food distribution, transportation, logistics, and all that. Also, we will be the partnering with management consulting groups and so on. In this today session, you'll be talking about how become more competitive in the global marketplace with CA Global. I too very curious about his speech. Please welcome on board Mr. Professor J. Connor. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me share the screen. Oh, you Karen, what's going on?
Yeah,
can they see it? Oh, there we go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, no matter where you are. I can't help but think about just a few years ago when I was growing up, I just wanted to go to the next state. And here we are talking across the world, virtually, of course, but still all across the world. What changes we've seen in the last 50 to 60 to 70 years. And I know we're going to continue to see those changes. I've been listening for the last 3 or 4 speakers, and there are at least 2 that I want to reach out to and do what we're going to suggest today, and that's talk about partnerships. The lady from Canada, and then our speaker just a moment ago who spoke without slides. I tend to agree with you on the slides. I hope mine are fairly simple and that they convey a message, because it's so easy to let slides take over what we're trying to do. I also have my timer on, so I'm going to stay within what you gave me, because I want to quit speaking before you quit listening. And I know it's a long day for many of you. The title of our presentation this morning was Become More Competitive in the Global Market with CU Global. I know CU Global is a relatively new term, in fact, a completely new term for you, but we are a university who believes in partnerships. And I wanted to share some of why we're doing what we're doing. And then near the end of my comments, I'll suggest to you one of our current partners and say we'd love to talk about other arrangements like this. So I've been with Campbellsville in one capacity or another for 21 years. I've been on the board of trust, I've been chairman of the board, and I've also now become a staff member as I wrap up my career. I wanted you to know something about Campbellsville University, because again, for many of you, this is the first time you've heard the name Campbellsville. So let me share a little history and our mission statement to get us going. We are in Kentucky. I know I talk to a lot of international students, and they know where New York is, they know where Las Vegas is, and they know where Miami is, but they don't have a clue as to where Kentucky is. So we're close to none of those. We are at least a 4 or 5 hour trip to any of those places, and to Las Vegas a long way. We're in the southeastern part of the United States, in the state of Kentucky. We've been around for 116 years. I say that because I want everybody on our conference today to know that this school is here to stay. We have strong roots. Sure. We have a long background, and we are committed to education. We're a nonprofit 501(c)(3). In other words, we're a private institution compared to some of the state universities that you have heard of and have perhaps even worked with through the years. We, this spring, have an enrollment of 8,500. Normally in the US, and many of you know this, but I'll say it, the fall enrollment is much larger than the spring enrollment. We were near 12,000 in the fall, and we've had the a drop off somewhat because that's just tradition and partially because of the virus. We operate 7 campuses and learning centers in Kentucky, in California, and in Hyderabad, India. And we are opening in Windsor, Canada. Actually, construction is going on now, and we'll be opening and holding classes come August of 22. We see great opportunities all across the world, not just in Kentucky. And that's why we are a part, at least one of the reasons we're a part of this conference. Now, like many universities, the mission statement is long and a bit complex. And that's probably because we do many, many things. But I wanted to share just 2 things with you. Notice this is one of the early lines, and the part I wanted you to see was what we've yellowed, and that is that we do certificates, we do associate degrees, we provide undergraduate education, and we also are in the graduate business. And then in the latter part of our mission statement, this statement is very important to us. The university prepares students as Christian servant leaders for lifelong learning and continued scholarship by linking discovery research to knowledge at the doctoral level and active participation in a diverse global society. We unashamedly are a Christian institution. However, we have welcomed over 5,000 Muslim and Hindu students, as well as other faiths as well. So we are by all means not exclusive to anyone who is of a different persuasion. Now in the US, and I'm sure in all the countries represented here, accreditations are very important to us. We work really hard to have them. I guess if we were a Harvard with an endowment of hundreds of billions, accreditation wouldn't be as critical. But for a school like Campbellsville, accreditations are really important. Two, I wanted to share with you. We are accredited by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, or SACS COC, and that is very important to us. We work hard every day to ensure that we are in compliance and that we are doing things the right way. Our School of Business is accredited by the International Accreditation Council for Business Education, a very prestigious accrediting organization, again, with whom we attempt to comply every day. Our pictures, there are three of them, indicate to you the diversity of our student body. That does not represent all of our students. As I'll say later, we have students from 66 different countries across the world. Now, like you and like some of the speakers that I heard just a bit ago have said, there are some global trends that we're seeing, and I know you're seeing them as well. Our take may be a bit different, but real quickly, let me just give you a few of those trends. We know that the e-learning market is on the rise. We see we're going to see an increase of 21% between 21 and 27. So we're a year into that, and e-learning continues to grow. AI, virtual reality, cloud-based LMS, all of these things and others will drive this growth. We, of course, are seeing an increase in non-traditional students. Gosh, even when I was in school, it was all 18 to 22-year-olds. And now we're still seeing those 18 to 22-year-olds, albeit not as many, but we're seeing those students who are going back to work on finish degrees, work on new skill sets, et cetera, et cetera. We want to be attractive to all of those bodies of students. Our curriculum has changed. I live in the state of Tennessee, which is due south of the state of Kentucky, where I'm speaking to you today. Our states are very similar, both in geographically speaking and demographically speaking. And just in the last few years, the governors of both states have said, we want to have more work-ready education. We can attract industry and all kinds of businesses if we simply close the skills gap. So our curriculum is reflecting that trend all across our two states. And again, I think that's typical all across the country. And then the idea of we've got to be constantly upgrading those skills. I remember in the 90s when the Learning Organization became a bestseller, and folks started talking about learning to improve, learning to get better, learning to do things differently. There are others, and real quickly, I want to just share those. The online alternative, certainly COVID had a major impact on that. Some schools have done a great job of that. Some have done pretty well, and some still are trying to figure out just how to do it. But without a doubt, it's here to stay. This one is a very interesting way to say what I want to say here. We want to be sure to future-proof the career choices that our students are making. By that, I mean, we simply want them to be ready for the changes that are already out there and that will continue to be. So we want to help students choose careers that they can count on, or at least develop other skills within without having to make a wholesale change. AI. Do I need to say much about AI? I suspect that many of the speakers who spoke during the night, during our night, talked about AI, but we just see incredible growth in AI. As you can see there, a 400% jump in acceptances. And finally, the idea of bite-sized learning. Lots of research going on about how people learn has been since I was in graduate school and first was exposed to it. And that just continues to be something that we believe we need to offer because of the fact that we have greater results and less cost. And then there are others that I'm just going to show the slide about AI. I just call your attention to 32, the second line there, 32 countries adopted AI strategies. And then the next one, 200 projects announced with over 70 billion public funding, and on it goes. So AI is here to stay. And then in cloud computing, just a few statistics. The global cloud computing market, 368+ billion, growth continuing. We'll see an increase between 22 and 30 of 15%. Here again, lots of statistics, but just note in the left-hand corner, basically 761 billion by 2027 in cloud computing. So another growth industry. And then in the European Union, just some interesting information about the enterprises that are using cloud computing, and then breaking it down with the statistics and figures to the right. So with all of that going on, with change constant, and with more and more opportunities, how has Campbellsville responded? Well, at this time, we have 6 graduate programs that deal with STEM opportunities as well as management and leadership. There are 4 STEM degrees. This program has been extremely successful for us, and the Master of Science in Information Technology Management is our leading program. So many IT professionals are without those management skills that we know are essential in today's economy. This degree has stepped up and answered or filled a gap for the students who have studied with us. We also have the MSCS, the Master of Science in Computer Science, an MSDAI, our Master of Science in Data Science and Artificial Intelligence, which responded to what I just said a few moments ago, and our MSCC, or Master of Science in Cloud Computing. So as you can see, we've responded to what the research has shown us, and I would love the opportunity to share the specifics of those degrees at a later date. 2 management degrees are also in place. Of course, our MBA, and our MBA has multiple tracks. There are, you see 6 tracks there. There are other things in development. And then finally, our Masters in Management and Leadership. And as I mentioned, that one is one that, again, with all the focus on the importance of leadership across the world, not just here in the US, but across the world, the MML has become a very popular degree program. Our last student here. Now, I know that you've seen a lot in the last 12 hours or so, and some of it will be easy to remember, some of it will not be, because it's just a lot of information. But I wanted to kind of wrap up our comments, our contribution to the program, by giving you some of the highlights of Campbellsville University. And perhaps, and hopefully, one of those will attract your attention and we'll have the opportunity to talk. As I mentioned, we have 8,500 students, and they come from 66 countries around the world. Strong presence in India, and I'm going to get ahead of myself here, but an initiative opening in Nigeria, students coming from China, and then that only leaves 63 other countries. We've been in international education for over 20 years. We've learned through those 20 years. We haven't just said in the last couple of years, oh, wow, there's an opportunity and we can fill the shortage of domestic students by going international. We've been at it for 20 years, and we've learned and we've innovated, and we want to continue to do that. I'm proud to say that even though I probably never knew anyone from India growing up, at this point in my life, several of my closest friends hail from India. And that to me is just, again, as I said earlier, is an exciting development in the world in which we live. Our online enrollment, we're not one of those schools like Southern New Hampshire, if you've heard of that, or Liberty. We have 1,200 graduate students in our online programs. Of course, we have a larger number of undergraduates, but we are pushing hard to grow that online enrollment, and that's part of what CU Global is all about. Multiple campuses and sites in the United States, and as I mentioned, our newest location is in Windsor, Canada. You may or may not know that that is just across the river from Detroit, Michigan, which is one of the northern parts of the United States. We're excited about Canada. We're excited about the opportunities that present themselves there. And we are also pleased to have space near High Tech City in Hyderabad. Many of you will know Hyderabad for sure. Some of you are probably from there, but a bustling, energetic, growing city with lots of opportunities for education. And finally, one of the largest enrollments of graduate international students, this is not finally, this is next to finally, one of the largest enrollments of graduate international students in the United States. We currently have in excess of 3,000 international students enrolled in one of those programs that I mentioned in an earlier slide. Finally, we want to be an innovative, cutting-edge university committed to continual innovation in education. I see I'm over by a minute, but I am almost through. I wanted to mention our partner that has helped us grow CU Global and grow these things that I've talked about, and that's University Hub, which is basically a company that started in India. The managing director lives in Britain, and he gave me some language, and I thought it was pretty neat, so I just kept it. We are keen to forge partnerships with more institutions and partners in other countries. I'm Jay Connor, and you see my email, and Pawan, who is in Great Britain, you see his email address there as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share in this impressive conference with over 300 attendees, I believe I heard, in the very first effort. So thank you so much, and we appreciate the time and the opportunity to share with you.
Thank you very much, Professor, for your message about the CU Global, the global trends. We talked about AI, global cloud markets, and really excellent speech from you.